Hello everybody, my name is Steve Hampton. I wanted to show you my process for 9-camera shoot of a local band. So the first thing we want to do is we want to capture our raw video from the video cameras. And in this case, I'm just going to assume that you've already done that. And these are all of my camera segment from each of the 9 cameras for that 3.5 hour show. And you'll also want to do the same thing with the audio you get from the board. Hopefully the front of house engineer gave you a copy of all the tracks that he recorded. You'll place that into the raw audio. So we have a few directories that we create, or folders if you will. I always create a raw audio for my master audio because we're not going to use the camera audio because it's terrible, but we'll use it for syncing purposes, so FCP can synchronize all 9 cameras together in the audio with the audio track from the FOH. The next thing we want is a raw video. This is where we're going to take all the video from the cards and dump it in here. All 9 cameras and all of their video segmentation for the 3-hour show. Now you choose whatever DAW you want to master your audio. I chose Logic Pro, and this is Logic Pro 12. So you'll make a directory for your DAW right there, and then I have a directory that I create called Images, and that's going to be in this case the Leftovers logo. This is what and you want to get the full resolution because I'm going to do something really cool with this logo that will be bumpers for the start of the video and the end of the video. We call those bumpers. What I'm going to do later on for, like I say, the bumpers is it will start full screen and then it will shrink to a bug that's going to be in one of these corners for the remainder of the video, and then it will expand at the end of the video to cover up the content below it. I'll be using motion for that, and we can go through that too, and we'll use that for every video clip that we create for this band. So the first thing we want to do when we talk about Final Cut Pro is we want to create a directory called FCP, and we will want to bring up Final Cut Pro, and this is Final Cut Pro 12. Never mind this. And the first thing that we want to do is we want to create the library. So we'll say new library, and then we will put this on our Crucial X10 drive, and we'll put the project for the library file out there in the FCP directory, and we'll call this The Leftovers. That's the name of the band. And this will cover, if I cover a project with them the next time, it'll wind up in this library with a different event. Speaking of events, this particular event was recorded on 4/11/2026, so we'll call this the shop, which was the name of the venue, and we'll put the date. That's just what I do. 04/11/2026. All right, so we've got that. So this is where all of our raw video is going to go. We'll go ahead and import that right now. And where I want to be is off over there in my Crucial. Remember, this is where we have all of our raw video, our raw media, if you will. And what we'll want to do is we'll want to select all this. And then I'm going to do something that's controversial. I'm going to copy this to the library. Okay, now what that means is Final Cut Pro is going to store all the binary information from all of these files. Some people like to leave their files external. The one advantage that you get with copying it to the libraries is you'll never get the thing where if you move your media around, you'll get the dreaded red screen of missing files. You'll never have that with this approach here. The bad thing is if this file becomes corrupted, you're screwed. You don't lose the media, but you'll lose all your work in that project. Now, I haven't had that happen to me too many times, but I have had it happen, so it is a risk. So do know that if this project file, FCP project file, becomes corrupt, you may or may not be able to recover your work inside there. So the other important thing is I'll check this balance color, and of course I'm going to transcode. Okay, transcode or the transcoded media is what is to improve performance on your computer. So we'll want to downsize the proxy media. The proxy media is what you'll be using to watch your video. We'll put this at a frame size of 12.5%. I've got some 4K 60 video in here, so it's 4K, so I can downsize this to 12% and get a lot better performance while I'm working. Even though I'm on an M5 MacBook Pro, it still makes a difference. So we'll do that. So we'll go ahead and we will import all, and do know that this is going to take quite a lot of time. You know, I don't know how many files we got in here, maybe 75, I haven't counted. But what's going to happen is it's going to start doing a bunch of operations in the background for you. The first thing, it's going to create thumbnails for each of these video clips and the waveforms that go along with it. Additionally, this is where the meat of it is. It's going to start transcoding every one of these files that we brought in. Again, that'll help you with performance, and that will downsize the media. Final Cut will never ever, if something happens to this project file, Final Cut will never ever remove or do anything to your external media. So understand that if you delete a file from the project, it's not totally gone. Your original source is still out there on your hard drive. So just know that. Okay, so a couple things I want to point out. There is when you get Final Cut Pro, you get a whole bunch of columns over here. I usually choose content created, camera angle, camera name, media duration. That's about all I need. I save this as my own custom set. I'm Steve Hampton, so I say S Hampton column set. What we want to do is we want to label these camera angles, okay? So what I can do is I can do this in multiple angles. I can highlight that, and you'll want to make sure that you are not on basic when you do this. You'll want to make sure that you're on the extended properties window for this. So what I want to do is say I'll say camera angle 1, and then I'll say cam 1 or cam 01, and then boom, there we go. So we'll just rinse and repeat. Okay, so there we go. We have all 9 cameras tagged and marked. That'll become crucial when we start to make multicam clips. What we want to do now is string all of these individual clips together as one, and that's called a compound clip. So we're going to make compound clips of all 9 cameras and string all of these little bits together to form one continuous clip, if you will. We'll highlight cam 1 and then say new compound clip, and I'll call this cam 01 comp standing for compound. And again, we'll do this with each camera. Okay, so now that we've got the angles labeled on our compound clips, what we want to do is we want to take all these compound clips and we want to organize them into one bin. So what I'm going to do is put my mouse cursor on the project name, the leftovers, and then say new library smart collection. I'm going to name this with an underbar. So that it always rises to the top. So you'll want to double click on this, and this pop-up window, this filter window, is going to come up. So what we need to do is add a type, a media type, and, well, not a media type, but a type. And we'll say compound, and then boom, there go all of our compound clips for the project. Okay, so now I have an uncluttered view instead of looking at all this down here in the event where it's primarily stored. You can just go here and everybody's happy. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to create a project, and the project is where the timeline is for your video sources. So we're going to say the shop. We're going to name the gig that they played at. This was the shop, and the date was 04/11/2026. We want to make sure our frame rate is 30p, and we're in HD. I did shoot this in 4K, but the final resolution is going to be 1080p at 30, and we'll make sure that our audio sample rate is 48 kilohertz. That's a big one, and we'll always want to make sure that we're using Apple ProRes 422. So we'll do that, create that, and there's our project. Well, let's go to our compound clips so we can unclutter. If we drag this clip onto the timeline, we'll see that is where we do our editing and all that good stuff. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We want to make a multi-camera clip. But before we can do that, we want a good audio source. And what we're going to do, you see how these camera angles are 1 through 9? When we add the audio track, its camera angle is going to be 0. When we make the multicam clip, it'll wind up being on top. But we'll get there. After I mix the audio, I'll bring it into Final Cut. This is the initial setup of managing the footage and where to put it and how to organize it in Final Cut Pro. Stay tuned for the next chapter, and in the next chapter we're going to cover synchronizing and creating the multicam clips with the audio master. See you then.